Su Yang stood at the center of the battlefield, breathing heavily, his eyes glowing with satisfaction as a familiar sound echoed in his mind. He had done it. Level 72. Finally, the grinding had paid off, and the hard work, relentless effort, and calculated strategies were now bearing fruit. His body ached from the intensity of the battles, but nothing could drown out the sense of achievement surging through him. He surveyed the field. Scattered around him were piles of loot glittering like treasures from ancient legends. Platinum coins, diamond-crusted relics, rare weapons, all valuable. But for Su Yang, it had become ordinary, a ho-hum part of his dungeon-clearing routine. More platinum, more diamonds, he muttered to himself, shaking his head. May have been there, done that. The wealth didn't thrill him anymore. Once you've had enough riches to swim in like a dragon, what was more gold going to add to your life? He was no Scrooge McDuck. His attention wandered to the rest of the spoils, hoping for something, anything that would actually be exciting. He wanted more than just wealth. He wanted power, and he needed items that could push his stats to the next level. As he scanned the remaining loot, something caught his eye. A ring, not just any ring, but one with a soft, ethereal glow that seemed to pulse with life. Instantly, his heart quickened. This wasn't an ordinary piece of equipment. He could feel its potential just by looking at it. Su Yang reached down and picked up the ring, carefully inspecting it. It shimmered in the light, a celestial glow enveloping its surface. A relic left behind by a great spirit master after their death. Perhaps it has been soaked in spiritual resonance for so long that even after the original owner passed away, it continued to whisper in meditation. The whisper from the ring permanently increases the wearer's spirit power by 1% each day, up to a total increase of 10%. Consumes mana to render the wearer completely immune to any mental interference for the next hour. Su Yang's eyes gleamed. This wasn't just a normal accessory, it was a game changer. It was rare for an accessory to offer both a stat boost and resistance bonuses like this, and the fact that it came with such powerful traits was mind-blowing. He had seen plenty of powerful weapons and armors, but accessories like this were few and far between. What really got him excited was the passive trait. A permanent increase in spirit power by 1% per day? That was incredible. With this ring, he could exponentially boost his power in a short time. It wasn't an immediate game changer, but it was the kind of item that would make a massive difference in the long run. Combine that with the Spirit Master's Blessing active ability, which made him immune to mental attacks, and Su Yang knew he had just found something that could tip the scales in any future battle. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Su Yang's eyes widened when he noticed the gem slot. Those were legendary. Infinite stones could continuously absorb mana from the surroundings, making sure the item they were embedded in never ran out of power. The sheer rarity of infinite stones made them priceless, and the idea of combining such a gem with the Spirit Whisper Ring was almost too good to be true. Lu Linger, you really outdid yourself this time, he said aloud, though Lu Linger was nowhere around to hear him. She had dropped some incredible loot upon her defeat, but this ring, it was beyond anything he'd expected. As Su Yang slipped the ring onto his finger, he felt a surge of energy coursing through him. His spirit power instantly spiked, and the world around him seemed to slow down as his mind became sharper. This was the kind of boost he needed. But that wasn't all. As he admired his new ring, Su Yang felt another surge of energy. This one far more intense than before. His fingers tingled, and his vision blurred for a moment before a new item appeared in his inventory. What? Another one, he muttered, opening his inventory to investigate. There, glowing with an eerie light, was a forbidden scroll. The wrath of the wind god tears apart anyone who dares to provoke him. Su Yang's jaw dropped. This was no ordinary spell. This was a forbidden spell, and not just any forbidden spell, but a first-tier one at that. Forbidden spells were the stuff of legend, spells so powerful they were restricted by the world's laws. Just having one in your possession was enough to make you a target for every ambitious mage and warrior out there. With 2 forbidden spells now in his arsenal, Su Yang's grin widened. He felt invincible. With these 2 trump cards, he could decimate any opponent foolish enough to cross his path. The sheer destructive power of the wrath of the wind god combined with his existing forbidden spell meant that Su Yang now had options. Whether it was a one-on-one duel or a battlefield full of enemies, he had the tools to destroy them all. Well, Lu Linger, I guess I owe you a thank you after all, Su Yang thought to himself. He hadn't expected to walk away from this battle with so much power, but sometimes the world had a way of surprising even someone like him. Su Yang straightened his posture and decided it was time to head back to base. Word of the expedition team's defeat had likely already spread through the land, and it wouldn't be long before people started talking about him again. The rumors were probably circulating at that very moment, each more exaggerated than the last. But Su Yang wasn't concerned about what others thought. He had bigger plans in mind. The mission for the black flame wings, Su Yang muttered to himself, clenching his fist as he teleported back to his base. It's time to bring an end to it. Meanwhile, far from the smugness of Su Yang's victory, another scene was unfolding. The remnants of the defeated expedition team were licking their wounds both physically and emotionally. They had thrown everything they had at the Black Dragon, only to be sent packing in disgrace. It was one thing to lose, but it was another to lose after bringing an entire army with you. The team huddled together in a makeshift camp, many still in shock. Some murmured to themselves, others sat in sullen silence, unable to process how things had gone so wrong. The bitterness in their voices was palpable. These were seasoned warriors, mages, and beast tamers. None of them were strangers to battle. Yet they had been utterly humiliated by the Black Dragon, a beast that seemed to defy logic. Jotai, the team's de facto leader, had been standing off to the side, listening to the complaints with a frown on his face. He had tolerated their grumbling long enough. Enough, Jotai snapped, his voice cutting through the air like a whip. We lost. Deal with it. His words silenced the group immediately. The team looked at him, waiting for him to continue. Has anyone seen the young miss? Jotai asked, scanning the group. His question hung in the air, and for a moment, no one spoke. That realization dawned on them all at once. The young miss, Lu Linger, was missing. A collective sense of dread settled over the team. They all remembered the last time when the grumpy old geezer necromancer got killed by the Black Dragon. The look on their faces was akin to that of children who knew they were about to get in trouble with their mother. Jotai cursed under his breath, his worry for the young miss outweighing his frustration. Where is she? He growled, striding off toward the edge of the camp. He had to find her, and fast. It didn't take long before he spotted her, huddled in a quiet corner, her shoulders shaking as she sobbed. She was sitting on the ground, her face buried in her hands. Her normally composed and regal demeanor had completely crumbled. Jotai's heart sank. He had seen the young miss upset before, but never like this. Miss, he started, his voice softer now as he approached her. Miss Lu Linger. She didn't respond, lost in her own world of despair. She had come here with one goal in mind: to tame the Black Dragon. As one of the most gifted beast tamers in the land, Lu Linger had believed that she could accomplish what no one else could. But she had been wrong. Her preparations hadn't been enough, and she had been soundly defeated. How can I call myself a genius monster master now? She whispered through her tears, more to herself than to anyone else. The title had once filled her with pride, but now it felt like a cruel joke. She had believed taming the Black Dragon would be the pinnacle of her achievements, but the task had turned out to be far more difficult than any of her previous conquests. I thought I could do it, she sobbed, her voice breaking. I really thought this would be it. Jotai kneeled beside her, his expression softening. He wasn't always the most compassionate person, but seeing the young miss like this tugged at his heartstrings. Miss, you're one of the best beastmasters out there. Don't let this one defeat ruin everything. Lu Linger shook her head, still crying. How can I be a genius if I can't even tame a dragon? Her voice was small and filled with self-doubt. You're not just any genius, Jotai said firmly. You're the daughter of the TNG Pavilion, and besides, no one could have predicted that the Black Dragon would evolve mid-fight. There's no shame in losing to a Moonlight Tier dragon. Lu Linger sniffled, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Do you really think so? Jotai nodded. Even Su Yang couldn't defeat a Moonlight Tier Black Dragon, at least not easily. Lu Linger perked up slightly at the mention of Su Yang's name. Su Yang, the infamous dungeon conqueror, had a reputation for being nearly unbeatable. If even he was struggle against the Black Dragon, maybe her failure wasn't so catastrophic after all. Besides, Jotai continued, it's not over yet. There's still the Red Dragon and the Silver Dragon. The Red Dragon is a bit weaker, but the Silver Dragon, if you could tame it, it might be the most powerful dragon ever tamed by a beast master. A spark of hope ignited in Lu Linger's chest. Taming the Silver Dragon. That would be an achievement no one could dispute. The thought filled her mind, and for a brief moment her tears stopped. She was already fantasizing about what it would be like to have the Silver Dragon by her side, its majestic form towering over all who dared challenge her. You're right, Jotai, she said, her voice gaining strength. I won't give up. If I can't have the Black Dragon, then I'll tame the Silver Dragon. And when I do, I'll be the most powerful beastmaster in the world. Jotai smiled. That's the spirit, miss. Feeling revitalized by her newfound goal, Lu Linger stood up, wiping away the last of her tears. Report the losses to the TNG Pavilion, she ordered. We'll cover the expenses. Jotai nodded. Understood. The rest of the team of low-lifes, who had been watching from a distance, erupted into cheers. Long live the young miss, they chanted, their spirits lifted by her determination. They had all been worried about how she would react to the loss, but now it seemed like they were back on track. But just as they were preparing to leave, a new team appeared at the dungeon's entrance. It was Ashu Makiko, another renowned beastmaster accompanied by her own team. Could it be Miss Lu Linger? Makiko called out, recognizing her rival from a distance. Lu Linger turned, her eyes narrowing slightly. That's me. Are you here to tame the black dragon too? Makiko smiled and nodded. I am. It seems we had the same idea. The two beastmasters locked eyes for a moment, a silent challenge passing between them. Makiko extended her hand for a handshake, but Lu Linger wasn't in the mood for pleasantries. Without a word, she turned away, mounted her unicorn, and rode off with her team. The members of Makiko's team were left fuming. How rude, one of them exclaimed. Does the bitch think she's better than us? The bitch is probably just upset because she couldn't tame the black dragon, another said with a smirk. Makiko, however, wasn't interested in their complaints. Quiet, she ordered. She's angry. Let it go. Why are you defending her? One of her team members asked, confused by her attitude. Makiko shook her head. It's not about defending her. She's not our enemy. Focus on the task at hand. Her team grumbled but followed her lead, knowing better than to argue with their leader. As they approached the dungeon, they checked the status and were shocked to see that it had jumped from Starlight Tier to Moonlight Tier. What the hell? How are we supposed to fight that? One of the team members asked in disbelief. It's like Longsha is playing games with us, another muttered. Makiko frowned, realizing the difficulty of the situation. Taming a Starlight Tier dragon was one thing, but a Moonlight Tier. That was an entirely different level of challenge. She quickly contacted their boss, Mr. Lai, to inform him of the situation. Boss, the dungeon has leveled up. We're going to need more backup, she said, her tone serious. Mr. Lai, to his credit, remained calm. I was aware of the change, he said. Stay at an inn for now. Someone will come to assist you. Makiko sighed, but there was little else they could do for now. She and her team made their way to a nearby inn to rest and regroup. Meanwhile, the question still lingered in her mind. How had the dungeon evolved so quickly? Could it have been manipulated? The next day, a lone figure appeared at the dungeon's entrance. Su Yang had returned. He walked in as if the dungeon was his own domain, his aura radiating confidence and power. The area was quieter than it had been the day before, the remnants of the previous battle now nothing more than memories. Only one thing remained, the black dragon. It's time, Su Yang said, his voice low and determined. Time to put an end to this dungeon. With that, his aura flared, enveloping him in a brilliant light as he prepared for the final battle. And that's it for today's video, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that like button. Our goal for today is 1,500 likes. Don't forget to comment part 14 down below if you want to see what happens next. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when a new video drops. If you want to support the channel and get early access to videos, consider becoming a channel member. Until next time, thanks for watching.